Hello YouTube, it's Jerry, Sky Management again. Today we're going to be doing something pretty simple. We're going to be replacing a standard thermostat. This is something I don't believe we have a video on yet, but just so happens the one here in the office, right over here, decided to go bad. We know it's the thermostat because we have swapped it from a residence unit where it had gone bad with a working thermostat and their unit kicked on just fine. We put that one in here, gave it a shot, fired it up, not working. So what I've done is I went over to Menards and bought the cheapest thermostat that they had. It was a digital one. I think it was about 16 bucks from Honeywell. It's this product right here. So it's a non-programmable thermostat, easy to read display, tiny little display on that guy. And we're going to put him in. It's not programmable again. It's just going to go in the box in the office. We like to keep it a fairly steady temperature in here in the office because we also have the fitness room and everything. So we'll do it and set it to about 70, 72 degrees. But right now it was set to 75, or excuse me, 72, and at 75 is not keeping up. So we've got the fan running on it now. I'm going to take it apart and we're going to have a look at this cheap one from Menards. So here we have the RTH111B non-programmable thermostat with the easy read digital display. It heats and cools, and that is about it. But that's all we need here for the office. It was about $16 from Menards. Package. Ugh. Has your little sheath on there with some additional instructions. This looks like it's in English and possibly also in Spanish on the back of that. We've got your instruction book, how to install it. Don't return it to the store if you got a problem. Yeah, right. No mercury, look at that. Hey, all right. There it is, fairly small. It's a fairly small little display, but it's got your toggle switches on the bottom for on and auto, and heat, cool, and off, about as simple as you can get with up or down. This cover, I'm gonna guess I should probably read the instructions, huh? I'm gonna guess this cover comes off of here. So you got your mounting plate. It's gonna go on the wall. I'm gonna tie in the wires. And this looks like it also uses two AAA batteries that could be installed. So we're gonna put those in for backup, and it snaps directly in place onto the backup plate once we get it. So pretty simple to use. Looks like they also give you some hardware screws, which we may or may not use. This will not be the same mounting bracket as what we're pulling off, so we will have to put a new one on. Ours being that it's here in the office, we've got one of these security boxes, so I've got a key to take that off. If you're in your own personal home, you're not going to have to deal with that. And the one that's in here actually is a Honeywell, but it's not going to have the same base on it. This feels like a bigger unit. Typically these just pop directly off, as you see. Uses different batteries. This is an older system. It uses the bigger back plate. We've got the wires running here, so we'll get a closer up shot to show how we're going to remove those and then install those on the new unit. Now that we have it a little closer, you can easily see that one of these white cables is connected to the white. There's actually a blue cord I've got connected to the yellow or Y signal. Green is to green, and the red is connected in with this red jumper piece. Okay, even though this B or blue wire is going into the yellow, because the actual system worked fine before, this cord could have always been mislabeled, or it wasn't done properly when it was installed. Or if it's an older home, maybe someone's had to pull a different wire and use a different color. Again, if you know that your system was working fine before, make sure that you either take a picture or remember how these are set up, or you can label each individual wire. Our new thermostat, cheap one, again, is smaller than the existing one. They also are put in here a little different. So the red is connecting to the red jumper. This also has the reds with the red jumper. Won't be a problem. The green connected to G. G is there. Won't be a problem. The yellow or Y that the blue cord is going into is going to go into the yellow, the Y, right there. Won't be a problem. And the white, or W in the white wire, is going to go in there. I also, in the fact that this is a Honeywell product, in the fact that this old one is a Honeywell product. I don't know if this is the case for all Honeywell products, but the screw holes in the anchors, just by looking, appear to be able to line up perfectly, which would save me a lot of trouble from having to find out, set up, drill new holes and so forth. But if you had to, you can always set it up here, mark them, and do that. So to remove this has Phillips head screws. So I'm going to use that, and it always is a good idea if you're going to be taking out these little tiny screws here to have a screwdriver, an eyeglass type screwdriver or a smaller flathead screwdriver that you can use to get in here and adjust these little ones with. Sometimes they make tips for the end of a manual. I would not use an electric drill type screwdriver to take any of these off. You're just going to break them off and stripping them out. You need to do all these by hand, in my humble opinion. So have the right tool for the job. I'm going to remove this one and we'll wire up the other one. It's also a great idea to keep in mind that as soon as you disconnect these wires could fall back in the wall. So if you can't pull out enough or don't have enough wire to pull out, put a clamp or something on this, or a binder clip, something to basically hold that in place. To hold it in place to keep it from pulling that cord back in the wall. That's going to save you a lot of trouble. If that gets pulled back in the wall, you may spend a lot of time trying to fish that back out. It has happened. Another thing that I like to do, this is not a complicated thermostat, but they can get more complicated if you have more features, more wires, a bigger system, multiple zones, whatever. But to keep things simple as you can, a lot of times I like to just disconnect one wire at a time and just connect it into the new system. So for example, disconnecting this red wire out of the jumper and just go ahead and taking it over and putting it where it belongs in this new one. That way there's no confusion. And if you ever get stopped or someone has to ask questions or you forget where you are, you can take a break and you can always come back and finish it and not go, oh my goodness, where was I? What was connected where? I don't remember. It just makes it a lot easier down the road. So again, you just connect them one at a time until they're all connected over there. So I'll get that knocked out and then we'll mount it. Now that I have this all wired in the correct places where it was supposed to be, I can go ahead and feel safe to take off that binder clip and get rid of that. And since I didn't have to replace the anchors where they were, because this lined up exactly where it needed to be, this is going to make this a pretty easy swap. We just have to hold it up. I'm even going to use the previous screws and just put them directly in there. You don't have to use the anchors. I find it's a good idea to do that just so it doesn't move around. These digital ones don't have to be level per se. They don't have mercury in them that has to go back and forth, but it's always a good idea to try to get it as level as you can. And so if you know that you've had one in there before and it was pretty level, it's a good idea just to try to get it back in there exactly how you had it. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that this is lined up. This may just more or less be a standard across the industry, or maybe it's just a standard across Honeywell if this is the right distance that these happen to be, but that lined right up in there the way that it should be. I've gone ahead and put my batteries, AAA batteries, in the back of this. On the back of this is critical. This is a big mistake a lot of people make. There's a switch for gas or oil, or electric or heat pump. If you have electric and not gas heat, the switch absolutely has to be on this electric or heat pump. If you have gas, it needs to be set to gas. So you've got to make sure that's set right. If you don't and you try to install this, stuff's not going to work right. You're going to wonder why. You're going to end up calling out an HVAC technician. They're going to come out, pull this off, switch it, and it's going to work fine, and it's going to cost you a service call. So you got to check that. And then you're going to take it and snap it on. Currently, it says it's 78. I was holding it in my hands. We're going to flip it to cool. It immediately kicked on. So it is now set to cool. It is now set to auto, and it says cool is on. You can adjust it by this direction here. We're going to leave it on 72. A little disappointed that it doesn't show you where it's set versus where it's going. It just shows where it is now. Currently is at 79. The other one had multiple, but again, cheapest one. That's the reason why. These other ones we had up here were a little nicer, and they would have the set to as well as the inside temperature. But again, if it's a set it and forget it type scenario like we got here, it's working great, and it is blowing out ice cold air. I hope that you found this helpful on how to install a Honeywell simple thermostat we got from Menards. If you did, please like and subscribe below. I'd love to hear your comments.